Last night there was this attack in London. These neo-Nazis, they attacked some tourists, killed a bunch of them with knives, and the police shot them dead. And this morning, people are saying that not all Nazis are like that. They are saying that not all Nazis are murderers. They're not all brown shirts. Only some of them are brown shirts. But, you know, they don't actually wear brown shirts, so it's hard to identify them. But neo-Nazis, Nazis in general, they're not to blame for these terrorist attacks. There was one in Manchester. There was the one last night in London. And a few weeks ago there was another one in London. There was one in St. Petersburg. You know, the neo-Nazis are all over the place attacking people, but, you know, it's not all Nazis, only some of them. And it's hard to identify them, but, you know, we have to work with the Nazi community and stop these hateful terrorists from doing what they're doing. And it's perfectly fine that the Nazis are encouraging others to join their ideology. It's perfectly fine that some of the higher-ups in the Nazi hierarchy are teaching people that the West is hateful and degenerate and should be destroyed. It's perfectly fine that the Nazis teach their young people, their boys, that any woman who is not modestly dressed as a good Aryan girl should be raped, brutally raped, gang raped. It's perfectly fine that the Nazis teach or allow or even encourage, actually, the grooming of young non-Nazi girls and you know, groom them when they are, you know, in their teens, in their tweens. It's perfectly fine to sexually abuse such girls and to use them as sex slaves and sometimes traffic them internationally. It's perfectly fine because those are just the exceptions. It's not all Nazis, it's only some Nazis. And we should always be aware of that. We should always remember that, see, most Nazis are really decent people. They're fantastic people, salt of the earth, you know? And they love their polka music, and they love their bratwurst, and they love their beer. And they love to sing songs in their beer halls. And you know, those few who commit these terrorist acts, it's not all Nazis. It's only some. You see? I mean, you have to understand that. And you who are discriminating against all Nazis by putting this broad brush that all Nazis are the same, that all Nazis want to destroy the West. And you know, yes, there are those studies that say that 1 in 3 Nazis would never turn in another Nazi whom they knew was about to commit a terrorist act. There are those polls that show that most Nazis do not trust in Western governments and Western system of justice and much prefer their own Aryan Nazi courts as opposed to the normal secular civil courts and criminal courts of the democracies where they live in. You know, these studies, they're Nazi-phobic. That's what it is. It's Nazi-phobia against these people, and most of them are such nice people. And they have such interesting clothes and interesting customs. And they're so lovely. We should not, under any circumstances, try to discriminate against them on the basis of just a few bad apples. And just a few of their of these terrorist scum, because they're terrorist scum, these Nazi terrorists who kill innocent people. But it's not all Nazis, it's only some. You know, a very small minority. And it's a very small minority that, you know, wants to destroy Western civilization. It's just a very small minority. So we just have to learn to accept the Nazi terrorism that we are going to, that we are living through. We'll just have to learn to accept that in a large metropolitan city like London, like Paris, like any of the cities of the Western democracies, you know, Nazi terrorism is just, we don't even call it Nazi terrorism, it's just terrorism. It's just terrorism. Don't you dare call it Nazi terrorism. Because yes, a lot of these terrorists believe in Nazi ideas, ideology. A lot of them carried out in the name of their supreme leader. But it's not all Nazis. And I want you to stop using that term Nazi terrorism, because it's discriminatory, it's intolerant, it's bigoted, it's racist. It's racist. And so don't you dare speak of Nazi terrorism. Just call it terrorist incidents. That's what it is. Terrorist incidents that have nothing to do with all those good Nazis that just are filling up our cities. And yeah, you know, that in a democracy where at the end of the day, the number of people who vote for a particular set of ideas or ideologies, they win. Well, you know, I guess it's just the natural evolution of things that the Nazis eventually, their numbers are going to grow so much that eventually they'll just take over our society and dismantle all of these civil rights that we have with so much effort built over hundreds of years. But you know, that's just life. You know, as the mayor of the great city of London has said, you know, we just have to accept these things as just part and parcel of living in a modern world. Yes. So don't you dare be bigoted. Don't you dare paint that broad brush on all Nazis, because not all Nazis are like that. All right? Do we understand each other? Good. Good. Because I don't want to have to call the police on you. You know, because, you know, after all, our government has to protect the Nazi minority because they're such good and decent and wonderful people.